To you live from the studios of the Democratic Party, the Democratic National Convention. It's good to see everybody. Let me tell you guys, if you want to follow what's happening with Resistance Summer, you can dial 43367, 43367. Help me out, you guys. 43367. Text in resist. We're doing cool stuff every single day. You know what? We're going to start the show out with a special guest. Newly DNC staffer who is the political director of the DNC, Amanda Brown Learman. Amanda, how you doing? Let's hear from
I'm good.
Amanda, everybody.
Thank you.
So Amanda, 4 days on the job, right?
4 days in, yes.
Yeah.
I know how to print an email now, so that's good.
There you go, where the bathrooms are and everything.
Yes.
So tell me, what inspires you and what do you feel you're going to bring to the DNC?
I only have 30 seconds for that.
Right.
No, I think that there's a ton of work that we need to do. And you and I have had this conversation many times. We've got to revitalize the party, bring all the people together. And I'm excited about sort of the unique perspective that I have, just having been in so many different parts of the party and the progressive space, to try to pull as many people as we can together as we all try to unite and move forward. Because at the end of the day, we have a lot of elections coming up, a lot of places that we can win. We just watched on Tuesday that the map and saw that the map is a lot bigger than I think we had previously estimated. So there's a lot of work to do, and I'm excited about bringing people together to get the work done.
Sure. And
I just had to hold myself back from saying get shit done.
Okay, well, it's legal. What do political directors do?
So the political team, and this is actually sort of a new, reimagination of the political team here. We're actually structured as a political and organizing department because the two go hand in hand.
Because you're a heck of an organizer.
Trying. So I think, we'll do a lot of the sort of community engagement outreach. That will be a huge part of the program. We're also trying to reimagine sort of a pod structure so that we can regionally support the different state parties and the work that we're doing. I think about it in a couple of different ways, but if to make this very simple, it's like the first sort of part is making sure that our state parties are empowered and mobilized and supported so that they can do the work that they need to do. They're the base in these states, and we've got to make sure that they have the resources and the tools to actually carry out the important work. Sure. And then on the sort of engagement side, organizing side, there's so much activism right now. We've got to try to channel that into something constructive and productive, and bring that into the vehicles that we already have within the party to make sure that we're all working towards the end result, which is ultimately winning elections. And I think both of those things go hand in hand, but it's essentially empowering the parties to do what they do best and empowering people and organizers and activists across the country to do what they do best too.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
No,
Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
And we're going to see you plenty more, I think.
I can't wait.
Amanda Brown Learman, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, everybody, our main guest for tonight is my good friend, Ben Ray Luján. Ben Ray Luján from New Mexico. Let's hear it from my brother. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
Absolutely. Good to see you. Ben Ray is the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. And I just want to say that it's really an honor to have you on, Ben. Ben, we had some interesting elections, 4 of them, in fact, over the last several months. Last night was South Carolina and Georgia. We didn't win them, but what's your take on it?
Well, a win is a win and a loss is a loss, Keith. But we wanted to win this race, and we wanted to win these specials. But in the end, I think that even though we weren't successful with that victory, we have to understand what these elections meant. Each and every one of these Republican-held districts that were special elections were handpicked by Donald Trump, if you will, sir.
Yeah.
These were individuals that President Trump handpicked to be part of his administration. Typically, those appointments come from deeply held Republican districts. In each and every one of these districts, the Republicans won by more than double digits last cycle. In some cases, more than 20 points.
Sure. Tom Price, for example.
Tom Price, for example, he won by 23 points, or by 16.5 points, I believe, last cycle.
Sure.
20 points. John Ossoff shrunk that to a little more than 3.8, I believe.
Right.
So it's like a 20-point swing. That tells you that the electorate was more active, engaged, that not only was John Ossoff able to encourage more Democrats to show up and vote at the polls, Jon Ossoff did excellent when it came to independent voters, and he actually got some moderate Republicans to vote for him. As a matter of fact, with the early vote, Jon Ossoff was able to get about a 10,000 vote margin where he was ahead, and he was able to win over about 18% of the Republicans. Now that last week, something fell out the bottom, right? We ultimately lost that race by 19,000 votes on election day with the margin of about 9,000 votes at the end of the day. So we need to understand what happened that last week, but we should also appreciate that in a district where a Democrat usually gets 36, 37% of the vote.
Right.
Jon was able to get 48 in that original race, and then he was able to get to 47 and change, 48 and change in that election. If that's happening in races like Georgia 6, South Carolina 5, out in Montana, and Kansas 4, where in each and every one of those races,
Right. Parnell did pretty well in South Carolina.
Archie had a close miss as well. He almost got that race won. But in each and every one of those races, when you see the margins shrink like that, in Republican-held districts where they won by as many as 20, 23 points last cycle, and now we're making a go at those,
Yeah.
Republicans should be worried across the country. And here's why, Keith. These should have been seen as safe Republican seats.
Right.
Republicans spent, I don't know, like over $30 million defending seats that they shouldn't have had to spend a dime in.
Right.
And if they're struggling to keep safe seats, they're going to have a challenge going into 2018, and we have the polling to prove it. And that's why I say the House is in play. I didn't say that once last cycle. I haven't said it once before tonight, yesterday, until I saw the data and the polling, and I'm telling you it is there. So we're working hard. We're going to be reaching out to people across the country, keep them marching, keep them engaged, and make sure that we're all working together. Because in the end, this is what we can do to restore checks and balances and to make sure we're holding this administration accountable and fighting to restore our responsibility when it comes to democracy in America.
So what do you think these good showings, we didn't win them, but we showed well. What do you think they mean for like statewide races in, say, for example, Georgia? I mean, I know that there are some Democrats eyeing that governor's mansion. And can we build upon all the work and investment we've done in some of these seats?
Keith, you and I both share the importance and the value and the understanding of what we have to do with voter registration.
Oh, yeah.
Of activism, of engagement, of being an active citizen, as we're reminded by President Obama.
That's right.
Not just marching, but voting.
No sideline citizens.
No
right?
sideline citizens. We need to all be involved. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say in response to your question, whether we're talking about Georgia, Ohio, South Carolina, Florida, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, each and every one of state, just take your pick. If we get more involved, we continue to register more voters, not just in Republican-held districts, but in Democratic-held districts,
right.
We will do better. And the enthusiasm that I'm seeing, not just in Georgia, but across the country, people attending town halls, marches, gatherings, press events, whether they're on the official side or they're on the political side, we're seeing people turn out in record numbers. And as long as people stay involved and we keep that energy alive and well, and we focus that not only to more voter registration, but engagement and activism, we will be winning seats all across the country. Governorships, congressional seats, whether it's the House or the Senate as well.
Senate, secretaries of state. It would be great to win some secretaries of state. Secretary
of States, county clerks, sheriffs, county commissioners. I mean, you talk school board races. Turns out we have some school board races coming up that are pretty important all across America.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
People need to get involved with all of these races.
Well, Ben Ray, I'm glad you mentioned school board and sheriff races and water board and all that, because the DNC, we're not just a presidential party. We are a every single seat party. We're trying to fight for everybody up and down the ticket everywhere. So thanks for making mention of that. Let me just remind everybody, look, you can, we'd like you to go to makecalls.democrats.org/ACA to call your senator first thing tomorrow and tell them you do not want millions of people to lose their health care insurance, to give breaks to millionaires and billionaires. And on that note, Ben Ray, man, look, what about this thing that the Senate Republicans just released today? Here's a headline: what the Republican Senate health care bill means for America. It ain't good. What's your take?
Well, even President Trump said that this was a mean bill. Right. I guess he was talking about the House bill, though, Keith.
Right, but he would know, right? He's like the king of mean.
This Senate bill
Oh, yeah.
is no nicer
That's right.
than the House bill, that monstrosity, that ugly bill that was going to throw 23 million people off of coverage.
Sure.
It would increase your premiums, increase your deductibles. If you're 50 to 64, it would slap you with an age tax. This is real.
5 times more other people, right?
This is real. And you want to talk about hurting people in their pocketbook and going after the most vulnerable people. What I mean by that is anyone that's been diagnosed with cancer or diabetes that was hurt on the job site. If you were in a car accident and, you know, like my mom,
Sure.
just because you might have a child or you had a child, that's a pre-existing condition too. They could charge you more for your health insurance. And the notion that Republicans promised the American people that they would lower their deductibles, lower their premiums, not throw any more people off of the health insurance
We're going to cover
coverage.
everybody.
Keith,
You hear them say that?
we heard them say it.
Yeah.
It's not true. They've
Yeah.
turned their backs on the American people and they misled them. When I was a child, and people talk about misleading others, my mom and dad said that was a lie.
Yeah, well.
Right? And so all that I'm saying here is the facts matter, the truth matters. The real impact to the American people of what Republicans are doing with this healthcare legislation, they're going to charge them more, they're going to increase their costs, increase their expenses. If you're sick, if you have cancer, diabetes, they're going to allow health insurance companies to charge you more for your health insurance. And what about our loved ones, Keith, that get home health care or that get help in other facilities when they get a little older? This bill will devastate that program. And I haven't even started talking about the impact to children, the number of veterans that are Medicaid eligible, them and their spouses.
Sure.
That Medicaid expansion, elimination would hurt them and their families. This is just a bad bill. And it impacts everyone across America. I can't believe that the Senate Republicans are going to follow suit as the House Republicans and walk the plank and turn their backs on the American people with this bill.
And what about this opioid addiction people are getting hit with all over the country? Do people need that care? They need to be able to get covered and get the kind of services?
Keith, this as you know, our communities all across America, this isn't just a East Coast, West Coast issue. This is a coast-to-coast issue across America. What opioids are doing to devastating our communities, hurting families, you know, this is an illness.
Sure.
We can't incarcerate our way to solving this problem. We have to treat it as a healthcare issue. So you'd think that a healthcare bill would not turn its back on a problem that we're facing across America. This bill would eliminate Medicaid expansion, access to mental and behavioral health programs, to sobriety issues, to those beds that people need to have access to those wellness programs. It would all be gone. And the very people that we tried helping when we passed a piece of legislation to provide more support to combat opioid addiction,
Right.
This bill would take the funding right out of the heart of a lot of our initiatives. It's bad at every level, including trying to help those people with that are being impacted with opioid addiction across America.
Well, you mentioned veterans. It also hurts our seniors
Yes, sir.
because the Affordable Care Act helped give about a $3,000 benefit to fill in the donut hole. What's the donut hole? Under Medicare Part D, a Republican passed program, you can get help with your medications up to about $2,500. Then you're on your own till you hit about $5,000. Then you get a little bit more help. That donut hole is when you're on your own. We were filled in the donut hole in the Affordable Care Act, but the Republicans are walking away from that commitment at a time when drug costs are skyrocketing all over the country.
They're pulling
Insulin is going up,
Yeah.
EpiPens, all this kind of stuff.
And like you said, they're taking protections away from seniors,
Snatching them away.
and they're going to increase the costs and take money out of the pockets of those seniors by bringing that donut hole back.
Bringing it back.
And if that's not bad enough, Keith, we know that if you're Medicare eligible, if you're on Medicare out there today, you're getting a pension, getting Social Security, benefiting from Medicare, or you're close to getting to Medicare, you have a loved one on Medicare, this bill steals money from Medicare. It's taking money out of what we did to strengthen the solvency of Medicare.
Yeah.
And like I said, it just gets worse and worse and worse.
And seniors also benefit from Medicaid because a lot of nursing home expenses are covered by Medicaid.
That's right.
And so they're really hurting seniors doubly. And, you know, seniors vote in midterm elections in a higher percentage than they do in the general. So seniors should be aware of what this ugly bill would do to them.
Absolutely. And again, just targeting, we talked about that age tax.
Yep.
For people that are between 50 and 64. So say you're out there, you worked hard, you're still working hard, taking care and providing for your family. You're between 50 and 64 years of age. You may have retired, so you have a pension. You're receiving some Social Security. Well, this bill is saying that because you're between 50 and 64, that health insurance companies can charge you more for your health insurance.
5 times more.
How is that going to help working families across the country?
Isn't 50 when your kids start going to college and you got to start forking it over for them?
I'm telling you, sir.
Oh, man, that's bad. That ain't no good right there. So you know what? We got a few calls coming in. What do we got today?
We do. This question comes from Stephen in Pennsylvania, who said, in your opinion, what's the most effective action I can take at the grassroots level to help elect Democratic representatives and senators?
Keith, you jump in there and I'll add to it.
Well, let me tell you, one of the great things that's happening right now is that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, and the DCCC, led by Ben Ray, we're trying to collaborate a little bit more. We're working together. We've been to DCCC meetings. You've been to our meetings. We're working together today. One of the most important things you can do is participate in Resistance Summer. 43367, dial resist. We will give you regular updates. You can join go to your local Democratic Party and be part of that effort. You can certainly get out there and join with groups like Indivisible and Swing Left or your union or whatever that, but be involved. Active citizenship is what we're asking you to participate in. You know, Resistance Summer, we can help you get right to a place where people are organizing right now. You can call a house meeting at your house to talk with activists about what you think is most important, and you can do that right in the VFW hall or in the Vets hall or in the church basement, or you can do it wherever you're doing it, but we need people to be involved. What about you? What do you think, Ben?
Keith, I would echo everything you said. The importance of being involved and staying active is critically important. Thanks for asking the question. We need more people involved all across the country. And just by asking that question, that's a good start right out of the gate. The more that we can stay informed, be informed, talk to our friends, listen. Look, you know, there's friends out there that you may have that have not been involved or don't see a reason to get registered to vote, or if they are, to even vote. Talk to them. Listen to them. Hear what those concerns are. Share them with others. Get to know your elected officials. Ask them to support causes that are important to you. And then where you're able to get involved at every level, do that. What I would say, Keith, is maybe the importance of participating in trainings. That we're doing together. So the DNC is doing one in a couple weeks.
Yep. Next week.
We've been on the road with the DCCC doing
Yes, you have.
There will be some collaborative trainings that we do together. If you're interested, participate, whether you can do it in person or do it online.
Webinars.
And invite friends to participate in them as well. But in the end, being an active citizen, voting, stay engaged, and not just in presidential elections. There are elections not only every 2 years to elect your U.S. House of Representatives and senators across the country. There are local elections every 2 years. In some states, there are elections every year as well, like our school board elections, our mayoral elections, our council elections. Get involved. See what's happening. It makes a difference. And look, Keith, we know that the more people vote across the country, the better representative government we'll have in America. And it turns out when more people vote, Democrats win. So we want more people voting across the country. Just get active in every way you can.
There's a reason the Republicans are so invested in voter suppression, because they know when we vote, we win.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We got some more?
Speaking of that, Patrick from Illinois said, how do Democrats avoid gerrymandering in their states and other forms of voter suppression like voter ID laws?
Good question.
So there's an effort underway where Democrats are all working together. The DNC, the DCCC, our friends in the U.S. Senate that are Democrats, Democratic governors, a lot of allies. President Barack Obama, he asked Eric Holder to chair this initiative with redistricting. So what we want to do is make sure that we have a fair redistricting process across America to ensure that we have districts that are not gerrymandered. Our response as Democrats is not to gerrymander our way to power. We want fair districts where people can participate and have fair elections across America, counter to what our Republican colleagues have been doing. They've gerrymandered their way to power. You know, you've heard about some of these districts across America that look like a snake that swallowed an apple, Keith.
Right.
There's one that they say it's like Goofy getting kicked by Donald Duck or vice versa, right?
There's some weird looking districts.
So, you know, talk to your state legislators, talk to your governors. When there are ballot initiatives in your states, help those ballot initiatives. And each and every way, every 10 years, we have reapportionment and redistricting. And there are policies and decisions made every day by your local elected state House or Assembly leaders and senators and your governors. It could get involved in the courts as well. But participate in them. Have conversations about them. Make it a point of conversation with those elected officials, and make sure that your leaders know that you want fair elections, you want redistricting that is fair, that is just, and that is not gerrymandering at its worst.
And if you see anything that looks like voter suppression, call the DNC. Let somebody know. Call the DCCC. Yeah. If you think somebody's being intimidated or steered away from the vote, you let someone know. You're protecting democracy at that point. You know, we know that in Wisconsin, maybe as many as 200,000 people couldn't afford the ID that's required to vote in that state, which is ironic because in a lot of states, like in Minnesota, you don't need an ID to vote. You just have to promise that you are who you say you are. And guess what? There is less than 1/100 of 1%. I mean, there really is no imposter voting. The number of people who've ever done it, over like a billion votes, like you had like maybe 1 or 2 people who've ever done it. And they're usually Republicans, but the bottom line is it's simply not done. And
it's against the law.
You get in trouble for doing it. You go to jail for doing it.
Yeah.
And so the bottom line is, if you are on the alert for voter suppression, it's important. There was a case in Wisconsin where a group was putting out literature saying Republicans vote on Tuesday, Democrats vote on Wednesday. Of course, there's no vote on Wednesday. So this is their way to just shave off a few people, just trick a few people. Yeah. If you see something like that, please share it and make sure that folks are notified so we can do something about it. I think we got time for a few more questions.
We do. This question comes from Amanda on Facebook, who said, are there plans to help Democrats in red states? I'm in Texas, and almost half of Texans vote blue.
I'm telling you, there are some immense opportunities out in Texas. There are a few districts out there that Democrats won during that presidential race. We are already targeting them as far as the U.S. House of Representatives. We'll be going after a district down in the southern part of the state, Texas 23, which runs from El Paso County all the way to San Antonio into Bexar County. It's currently held by a Republican by the name of Will Hurd. It's a Democratic district. We have to make a play at it, so get involved there. We'll be making a play for a district outside of Houston that's currently represented by Congressman Culberson. It's the 7th district of Houston. We need your help. There's already great candidates that have come forward. They're going to be running out against Congressman Sessions in the Dallas suburbs, a very competitive district there as well. And that's before we even start talking about the redistricting case that's currently before your courts out in Texas and the state legislature, who have been told by the courts they have to redraw maps. So arguably, there's another 2 or 3 districts that could come on the board in Texas. So we will be active in Texas. We need your help in Texas. So participate in those trainings, get involved with some of these races, or run for office yourself.
Well, let me just say, the folks in Houston, in I think it's Harrison County, really kicked it out last time. I mean, they did a wonderful job. Yeah. I mean, Harrison County is pretty much blue nowadays. Dallas has done really well. The good days are ahead in Texas if we keep on working. Yeah, absolutely. Another question?
Yeah, this comes from Mary on Facebook, who had a lot of really good questions. But she asked, what do you need from the rank and file to do in helping you guys push your agenda for 2018? Do you want help with voter registration?
Yes, absolutely. Look, I keep on telling folks, go to 43367 resist. We'll give you regular updates on it. We are trying to get as many folks involved as we possibly can. We're trying to connect you with your neighbors, knock doors, do voter registration. That's the whole point of Resistance Summer, a 90-day intensive program. We're asking Democrats to reach out to all Americans, get them involved, tell the Democratic story, knock doors, do everything you can. We're going to have a capstone on Labor Day, and then guess what? We're going to do it all over again. This is not the only one. This is just the first one. Resistance Summer. We're going to keep it rocking and moving on.
Stay active on social media. We need you to be good messengers and strong messengers. Be active in your communities as well. The more that we can make sure that we're fact-checking what's coming out of this administration, out of our Republican colleagues, the healthcare debate is a great example of what we need to do to make sure we're reaching out to our friends and our neighbors and helping them understand how they're personally impacted by these bad decisions that are being pushed by Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives and the Congress and out of the Trump administration. So in each and every way you can, stay active, be an active messenger, be a fact checker, and stay involved in the community as well.
Hey, everybody, this has been your chairman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Ben Ray Luján. And I just want to tell everybody, 43367 resist, very important. And also, if you want to save the ACA, you save the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, you can head to makecalls.democrat.org/ACA. Call your senator, call him right now, call her right now. Tell them not to kick 23 million people off health care and that you oppose the repeal of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. Next week, everybody, we're going to have former senior advisor to President Obama, Valerie Jarrett.